Hi, I'm Renee. I'm a single gal from Texas who bought my first home by myself last year. It's a big old 1914 Craftsman fixer-upper that needs a lot of work, and I didn't know how to do any of it. So I've been teaching myself how to use power tools and design, and I'm slowly fixing up this home one room at a time with my own two hands. Follow along as I turn this old house into my dream home. Hello and welcome to my channel. If you are new here, I'm Renee. I'm renovating my home by myself. Welcome back to the living room. I am so excited to get this room done. It has been serving as storage for months now, including storage for the hallway bath toilet, and I'm so happy all of that is out now and it's time to make this room pretty and functional again, which is my favorite part of any room renovation. So first though, I just want to recap and share what's already happened in this room. So let's start on move-in day. When I first moved in, this room was this bright royal blue and it had bumpy textured walls and bright ultra white trim. And there's nothing wrong with that, but it's not really my style. I don't really gravitate toward cool tones, and I certainly don't love wall texture. I did what I've done in a lot of rooms with wall texture in this home already. I skim coated using drywall mud, and then I hand sanded everything with an orbital sander, and then primed and painted. I think the color I chose in here is surprising to some people, but when I paint a room, I like to think about three things: the quality of light the room gets, the purpose of the room, and then the mood that I want it to convey. And in this room, the quality of light is amazing. The living room gets the best light out of any room in the house because it has giant windows on 3 walls. It's basically like a sunroom. It also has super high ceilings. They're 11.5 feet tall, just like the rest of the first story. So it feels really light, bright, and airy. The purpose of this room is to watch movies and TV and YouTube, and also to listen to records. And the mood that I want it to convey is cozy, warm, welcoming, like a big hug, essentially. So how do you get a light, bright room to feel cozy and huggy? You painted a dark color. So that is what I did in here. I've also just been itching to paint a room black because I really love black. And I feel like, just like with whites, there are so many different kinds of black paints. And you can choose ones that have all sorts of different variations. What I chose in here is called Urbane Bronze. And I love it. It's this warm off black. So sometimes it looks charcoal, sometimes it even looks brown, other times kind of purplish or bluish. This color morphs throughout the day and in different light, which is something I love and I always look for. I love chameleon colors, or mood ring colors as I like to call them. It just adds so much interest and depth to a room. But another really unique feature about this room are the original pocket doors to this 1914 home. They're huge and amazing and are still in really good condition. And I had considered doing this room in tone on tone where the trim was also black, but it just didn't feel right to paint these giant, beautiful, old historic doors black. They just needed to be white. I don't know why, but they were just speaking to me. They're like, don't paint me black. So I decided to do a white contrast trim in here. And this may be the only time you see me do a white contrast trim. It's not really my thing, but in this room, it feels right. I love that it brings this traditional feel to otherwise very contemporary black walls. So speaking of these pocket doors, I also want to note that when they're completely open, it creates this cased opening between the living room and dining room, and it feels like one big connected space. So that's also something I really wanted to consider when choosing colors, both in here and in the dining room, because I wanted them to feel really complementary, like a continuation of the space. So if you notice, the colors are actually inverted. So the dining room doesn't get a ton of light. It has one window and it's relatively small compared to these windows. So it's kind of shadowy and moody throughout the day. So I decided to paint the walls a light color. I chose white dove. And in here, the trim is white dove. On the ceiling in the dining room, which is the accent, I have a mossy green. In here, the couch is mossy green. In the original 1914 built-in hutch, I painted the inside urbane bronze, and in here, the walls are urbane bronze. So So you can see it really flows together. They feel connected, but also if I decide to close the doors and make the room separated, they still feel complete without being able to see the other. So speaking of the mossy green couch, let's talk about it a bit because I had to choose this especially for this room for a very important, serious reason. And that reason is Beef. He's terrible. He loves to scratch up furniture, particularly woven furniture. He loves tearing it to shreds, but one thing he will not touch is velvet. For whatever reason, his little cat paws don't like the feel of it, so he won't tear it up. I also needed to find a couch that was low enough to the floor that he couldn't drag his little butt underneath and tear it up from underneath, because he will do that. He loves it. He acts like it's his own monkey bars and he pulls himself along. It's his favorite thing. And the other box I needed this to check was I wanted a sectional that was a corner with even sides. I just felt like that would be the best use of this space because the TV has to be in the opposite corner. And that is just because there are so many windows and door openings in here. It's the largest bare space of wall. So this sectional checked all those boxes and it has so many great features. It's super comfortable and it has these amazing armrests that you can just set your drink on. That being said, it's pretty blocky. And this house is pretty blocky as well. It's a craftsman style, so there's a lot of 90-degree angles, rectangles, squares. So what I like to do in rooms to break that up is to add roundness in the decor. So using the dining room as an example, think about the globe lights I have, the turned table legs, the cabriole legs on the piano, and I'll be doing the same thing in here. So to break up the blockiness of the couch and the room in general, I'll be using a big round rug and a round coffee table, and then all of the antique and vintage furniture that I have found for this room have wavy accents to them. So speaking of that furniture, that is going to be the next thing I tackle here. I guess the first thing with this round of this room. My goal is also to get them to the same wood tone, so that will be an interesting challenge because one of them is a lot more orange than the other. I have this dresser that is so amazing and I'm going to use as the TV stand, and I found this vintage record cabinet that actually might be an old phonograph cabinet. The top swivels, it's amazing. That's the one that's a little orange and I want to bring up to the richness of the other tones. And then I found this vintage rocking chair that I am going to reupholster. And it's my first time reupholstering anything, so it will be a journey. After restoring the furniture, final details in here will be lighting, window treatments, decor, and because it's a very sunny room, you can bet there's going to be some plants in here. I am so excited for this room to feel finished and usable. Thank you for being here and following me on this DIY journey. If you haven't already, consider subscribing and turning on notifications, and that way you get updated every time I post a new episode. So thank you again and welcome to my channel.